we're going to look at 3 different types of fuels: propane, isobutane, and butane, to see how well they might perform for you in your grid down kitchen, how they perform compared to one another, and how well they compare to a modern electric stove. We're going to do these comparisons and testing just like we did in video 1 of the Grid Down Kitchen series. First, I'm going to go over each of the 3 types of fuels, give you some information about each type. For the butane, roughly 21,300 BTUs per pound for butane. That comes out to like 1,326 BTUs per ounce. They typically come in 8-ounce containers. Price for a 3-pack like this one, at the time of filming this video, I got this one at Walmart, and the price was $7.97. It's $2.65 a can. That comes out to $5.31 per pound, or 33 cents per ounce. Butane is primarily going to be used for cooking, somewhat for heating, but for this video, we're talking about the fuels for cooking in a grid down kitchen. And a note about butane: if the weather is really cold, butane doesn't work as well as propane. So keep that in mind if you think you're going to need your fuel in really cold conditions. Next is propane, roughly 21,600 BTUs per pound, just slightly more than the butane. That comes out to about 1,347 BTUs per ounce. At the time of filming of this video, a 2-pack like this at Walmart, which is where I got this one, it's $9.87. These are 1-pound containers, so that equates to $4.93 per pound, or 31 cents per ounce. There are ways to get the propane much cheaper per pound and per ounce, but for this video, we're comparing this type container. Propane will work in colder temperatures than butane, and of course, propane probably has more uses than any other fuel out there. And the third fuel we're looking at today, isobutane, has approximately 19,900 BTUs per pound. It's a little bit less than the other two. That's 1,244 BTUs per ounce. A can this size, which is 15.87 ounces, like this one on the screen, is $11.95. That comes out to 75 cents per ounce. Quite a bit more expensive than the other 2 fuels. The isobutane is primarily used for cooking, for backpacking, camping, hiking, those kinds of things, and for light. But you can use your isobutane to cook your meals during grid down times as well. When I talk about the BTUs in a particular fuel, the amount of heat that you'll actually get from a particular stove is going to depend upon the rating of the stove. In propane, butane, and isobutane stoves, they come in many different sizes and flavors for small amounts of BTUs, so to speak, and large amounts of BTUs. The stoves we're going to look at: propane stove, approximately a 20,000 BTU stove, has 2 burners, so 10,000 BTUs per burner. The butane stove that we're going to use is a 15,000 BTU stove. This isobutane stove is an ultralight, somewhere in the neighborhood 8,500 to 8,800 BTUs, but the flame's going to be pretty concentrated as compared to the other 2 stoves. What we're really after here in this video is to find out how these 3 fuels will compare to a modern electric grid-powered kitchen stove. I'll give you the information of how well the electric stove does the same thing from this video on the screen, but I don't want to repeat that exact same test for this video. Testing is in that video. I do have the bare minimum of safety equipment: fire extinguisher, fire blanket, and carbon monoxide detector. We're going to start out with 32 ounces of water like we did in video 1. We're also going to start out with the isobutane. A couple of things about the isobutane. As you can see, this is a very small backpacking stove. I will be careful, but I don't suggest that you try to cook meals in a pot or kettle this large on a stove that small. Isobutane stoves do come in configurations that are much bigger than this. So before we start, the isobutane and the container weigh 690 grams. When we're finished, we'll see how much of the fuel it took to bring 1 quart of water to a rolling boil. One minute. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. 4 minutes. So after bringing 1 quart of water to a rolling boil, we now have 672 grams. So we used 18 grams of isobutane. This part that connects the fuel canister to the stove has malfunctioned. I cannot get it to work. It was working a little earlier. You know the old saying, 2 is 1, 1 is none. I do have a backup propane stove. We're going to be using this stove. It's a single burner propane stove, 12,000 BTU. And to get it to fit on my kitchen stove, I had to turn it around sideways. Propane and canister is 837 grams. One minute. Two minutes. 3 minutes. 4 minutes. A little less than 4 minutes, the propane brought 1 quart of water to a rolling boil. So now the propane and canister weighs 812 grams. That took 25 grams of propane, almost an ounce, to bring 1 quart of water to a rolling boil. Next up is butane. That's the same stove that I used in video 1 of the series. In video 1, I used this brand of butane. Today, I'm going to use this brand of butane. So the butane, before we start, is 331 grams. One minute. 2 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And it's to a rolling boil. So butane as a fuel did very well. 3 minutes and 45 seconds, or a little less, to a rolling boil. After bringing 1 quart of water to a rolling boil, the butane and canister weighs 305 grams. So that's 25 grams, slightly less than an ounce. All 3 of those fuels compared really well to a modern electric kitchen stove. I'll give you a summary on the screen. And from that information, you can decide which, if any of these 3 fuels, would be your primary choice as a fuel to use in your grid down kitchen. When it comes to using the type of fuels and stoves that I've showed you in this series, using them indoors, I'm not telling you that it's okay and it's safe to use indoors. I am telling you that I use them indoors, but I also take a lot of safety precautions. And if you choose to use these type of stoves and fuels indoors, you must have these safety items. At a minimum, fire extinguisher, fire blanket for accidents, fires, grease fires. In no way, no how should you use any of these types of fuels or stoves indoors if you don't have a carbon monoxide detector.